What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Bionic Podcast, episode number 5, where I have on my stepsister, Hynes. For those of you who don't know, Danielle. And yeah, welcome to the Bionic Podcast.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited.
We have some really cool topics, guys. Danielle is obviously a big part of Team Bionic. She is my sister. She has supported me in so many things that I've done growing up. So we're gonna have Danielle on here to share some stories, to share a little bit about herself, so that you guys can continue to meet Team Bionic. But of course, we always start the Bionic Podcast off with the mystery mugs. We're gonna do a little toast.
There she goes.
Cheers. And let's get right into it. I just want to welcome all of our listeners on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, as well as anybody watching the visual on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to get started with a nice, simple question. It's not really that simple, but what I wanted to ask you about, which I mentioned on the podcast with your mom, was our blended family, like we like to call it, blended 2.0, is something that we have at the house that we live in, where we were blessed with the 3 of you guys coming from Newfoundland. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what the transition was like from the move from Newfoundland to Ontario. But the exact question is, what was it like in terms of like going to a new school and all that kind of stuff, having a new family, like having a weird sister like Kat and a very loud brother, getting introduced to your life. What was that like coming to Ontario?
Wow, yeah, that's a big question. I'd say, yeah, moving to Ontario is very big for me. I mean, growing up in Torbay, Newfoundland, it's a very small town for those of you that don't know. Everybody I went to elementary school with, we were all born at the same hospital. Like all
Yeah.
of our family members pretty much knew each other if you were from Torbay. So, I mean, there wasn't really much culture outside of, if you were like Newfie, as we'd like to
Like
call it.
small town vibes.
Exactly, yeah. So moving to Mississauga was huge. I mean, going to an elementary school where people were Croatian. I didn't even know where Croatia was, believe it or not. Like I was so isolated, so sheltered, right? Being from an island. So yeah, moving to Faustina, that's the elementary school I went to, where Jules and Kat also went to. You guys made it seem very seamless. I mean, you guys always involved me in during recess. If you guys are playing volleyball, you guys get me there.
Hmm.
Just because, yeah, it was really intimidating at first. I mean, I was really excited to move. Don't get me wrong. I mean, knowing that I was gonna have a new brother and a new sister, I was super excited. I remember Katerina and we were talking on the phone when I was living in Newfoundland, like talking about how we're gonna organize our bedroom and like who's gonna get the top bunk, who's gonna get the bottom bunk, stuff like that. So that was really exciting. But I think once I actually moved, which I was 11 years old, by the way, for those of you that don't know, yeah, it was really intimidating because I didn't know where to start. And I think moving to Mississauga, it almost made me sort of go into like a shell where I was kind of more shy, and moving into an Italian family as well. That was huge. I mean,
Trying foods you've never tried before.
exactly, yeah. And Jules's dad, my stepdad now, Nick, he's a chef, so he always wanted me to try like
Pressure
tomatoes.
feeding.
Yeah,
Pressure
he
feeding, we
always
call
said,
it.
"Do it to make me happy."
Yeah, the guilt trip
So
that Nick uses to
yeah,
get us to try food that nobody else would ever try in their house, but
exactly.
we
Yeah,
have to
so
try.
yeah, that was always really intimidating too. It actually got to the point where I'd literally crawl under the table because I'd be so intimidated. So that was a lot to adjust to. But yeah, now I'm super blessed to have that amazing food. I mean, thank you, Nick. He's a god.
And
But
I think your palate has changed.
oh,
Like
100%.
literally
Yeah.
Danny would like go nowhere near certain things and all of a sudden she's like eating all these odd foods out
Oh,
that
yeah.
the normal household wouldn't even be eating anyways. But yeah, no, that's cool. So a little bit of
Yeah.
mixed feelings, like
Oh,
excitement
100%.
mixed with fear, right? Like
Yeah.
ultimately you were in a completely different province, halfway across the country,
Yeah.
literally
Literally,
smack in the
yeah.
middle, like halfway. So yeah, no, that's something that I think required a lot from a young person. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like if you're older and you're moving to like another province for a job or something like that, like you're gonna go live in a condo, you're older, whatever. But as a kid, to
Exactly.
get a kid to go from one way of life for so many years to just like
Mm-hmm.
pretty much a 180, because small town to big city kind of
Oh
thing.
yeah, it was like complete culture shock is what I would say. And I mean, I can't even imagine people who move from like different countries, across the world kind of
Hmm.
things. Even going from Newfoundland to Ontario, like the culture shock was crazy. I remember I think the first year I moved was like the Euro Cup, and you guys were so ecstatic, and like Italy's like in the world, or like Euro Cup, whatever. And I was
And
like,
you're like,
what does that mean? Like,
what
I'd
is
never watched like any soccer game like that, because it was mostly hockey in my family, like in Newfoundland. So that was crazy. And I mean, also like my dad, he moved to Fort McMurray at the same time. So my dad was living in Alberta. We had just moved to Mississauga with a blended family. So there's a lot going on, a lot to process at a young age, but it definitely built me to like who I am today. And I think without that move, I don't know where I'd be, but I'm definitely thankful. And I mean, our family, it's been a strange time, obviously, but we've definitely grown into an awesome family. And yeah, it's crazy. I can't imagine like a life where I didn't know you. Like, it's weird,
I know.
know,
It's really cool. And just to
so
show you
weird.
guys from my perspective, like to get a new sibling at like at an older age, like I was whatever, you were 11, so I was 12.
12, yeah, 12, 13.
Yeah, like I was grade 7, or you came in grade 7, correct?
Yeah.
So I was in grade 8, and it was like cool because we did the transition of high school into high school together because we were only a year apart, and then I went to Gonzaga, which we're gonna talk about. What I want to talk to you first though is what are like some of the funny things that you experienced, the change of what I have here is like Toronto slang, certain things that stood out to you, like for example, like grocery stores were completely different, like Toronto slang. Like what are some things that you can recall that was like complete, like just like what's going on?
I would say, I mean, this one might seem kind of small, but I remember, I think it was the second day, I think, or first week that we had moved to Mississauga, my brother and I. So Johnny and I, me and Kat, we walked over to Tim Hortons, which was like the plaza by our house. And, Johnny and I go in there, we're just talking to the guy at the cash, super friendly because everybody in Newfoundland knows each other, like at least in like small towns like Torbay. And we went in there and we came out, we were talking to you and Kat. We are like, oh yeah, buddy at the cash, buddy at the cash, he was saying this. And you and Kat were like, do you know that guy? Like, why are you calling him buddy? We're like, no, it's just buddy over there, because like everybody you talked to in Newfoundland, it was just like, oh, buddy. Like everybody was a buddy. You just called them by that name.
Yeah.
And you and Kat kind of just looked at Johnny and I so confused. And I was like, what's the matter with that? I thought that's how everybody addressed like a stranger kind of thing. But you guys like quickly showed us that, with a bigger city, a larger population, while it's still friendly, it's obviously not the same approach because it's a much larger city. So that was definitely where I kind of knew that wasn't the slang around here. And yeah, I remember like Kat and I walking around like we're like Churchill Meadows, that area, and I was anybody that walked by, I'd say hi. I'd be like, oh, like hi, whatever, how are you? And Kat was like, why are you talking to that random guy walking down the street?
Just a random
human
being,
but that was normal, it was normal in Newfoundland.
And that's why, just to add to that, like that's why it was super easy obviously for Kat and I and my dad to blend with you guys because you're just genuine nice people at the end of the day. It's not like you're, or, like, not to be whatever, but some people in Toronto, in the city, they have big egos or whatever, and it is very different. Like I'd love to whatever, people are going to learn my opinion on this podcast, but small town people are usually like a lot friendlier, you know what I mean, a lot more approachable. So it made it super easy for our entire family to just like get along. Everybody meshed very well. We have a very good sense of humor. You guys have a great sense of humor. So we all understood the same jokes, which like, sometimes I make jokes where everybody pauses and nobody like says anything, but it's okay. That's pretty funny because I could remember that.
Oh
yeah. So the next thing I want to talk to you about, because we were talking about the transition from elementary school to high school. So what was it like going to the same elementary school and then same high school as me? Because we have to connect it back to.
We do. We got to connect it back there.
Yeah.
I would say for like elementary, I mean, there you still had the name like Jules Melly,
Yeah.
People still knew
more like Giuliano.
Yeah, maybe it was maybe
school.
more Giuliano, but it kind of transitioned over there. But still, I was largely known, maybe not Jules' stepsister at the time, but Giuliano's stepsister, right? That was kind of the thing, and it was nice because that was able, like, it was easier for me to sort of transition into elementary school because people are kind of like, okay, like, she's not completely new around here. Like, her siblings are around.
Like some, people that, like, were like was at the school. It was like
mutual, so I felt more comfortable. So that was really nice. But I think, going into high school, because you we're basically a year apart. We're like a year.
Yeah, you're a 99, I'm a 98 for everybody out there listening.
Yeah.
Just to give you guys context.
Yeah, so when I was in grade 8, still in elementary school, Jules had a year at Joan of Arc to sort of, really get his name there and, get into like the hockey team at Joan, all that stuff. So by the time I got to high school in grade 9, Jules was in grade 10. I thought that when people come up to like, try to like meet me, whatever, they'd be like, oh, like, what's your name? Like, and I'd be like, oh, I'm Danielle. But it was always coming up to me, oh, so you're Jules' stepsister, right? And I'd be like, my name's Danielle, but yeah, I am Jules' stepsister, So
That's funny.
that was always a good one. But yeah, it was always known as just like Jules' stepsister.
And then
And
later on with Johnny and me,
yeah, and
and
then
then we all started
Johnny.
hanging out. Like I started hanging out with the grade 12s and grade 10 because, so the way it goes, guys, just to give you guys context as well, I always like to fill in the viewers. Jonathan's a 96, I'm a 98, Danielle's a 99, and Kat's a 2000. So it's like
Mhm.
boom, boom, boom. Like we're
Yeah.
very, especially the three of us were like only 1 year apart.
Yeah.
And then Johnny's 2 years older than me. So when I was hanging out with the grade 12s, Danny was in grade 9 and I was in grade 10. So, like she had that like big brother presence at the school, which is
Yeah.
cool
It was
because
really nice.
yeah, and like same thing I talked about in the episode with Kat. Like I also enjoyed being at school with you
Mhm.
guys because it was like if anybody fucked with my sister, like I'll kill you kind of thing, Which
Yeah.
is like, obviously like, being a protective person, I was always like, I enjoyed being there because if I was at a different high school than either you or Kat and something happened and I couldn't be there or whatever, it would suck. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So, but then I ended up leaving.
It's true. I think that there, like, I mean, it's obviously really sad that like you had to go from Joan to Gonzaga, but I'm really happy that you were there for like that first like year in high school, in grade 9,
You're like
because
adapting to
yeah,
things
well,
and
because like I was like changing friends, like all that stuff. Like some of my friends that I was really close with, they had gone to different high schools. Like one of my best friends, Olivia, she had ended up going to Gonzaga, not to Joan of Arc after elementary school. So a lot of that was really tough for me, not having, like my support system going into high school with me. So
hmm
knowing that like you were there in grade 10 and like Johnny was there as well, like in grade 12, it was super comforting. And I mean, yeah, it was just, I don't know, it made the transition really well. And yeah, I mean, it was sad to see you go, but you know,
had to
you
do
were
what I
good
have
at
to
Zaga
do.
too. Then Kat had you for
I
when she was in
fucking
grade 9.
I
So
was guys, you want to hear something crazy? I was and for those of you that don't know, you'll learn this about me is that I was on the like fourth or third line at Joan of Arc hockey, tier 2,
hmm
like tier 2, fourth line, like you can't get lower than that. We weren't even like a top 3 or 5 school. Like we weren't even
yeah,
a
it
good
wasn't up
in
there.
tier 2 and I'm playing on the fourth line. So I'm like, "Holy shit. Am I that bad of a hockey player?" So I'm like questioning myself like, dude, like you must be garbage. If you're at Joan, which is primarily a football school for those of you that don't
Yeah.
know, playing tier 2 hockey on the fourth line. When I made the switch to Gonzaga, tier 1, we're in first place. I'm on the first line and I'm leading the team in goals. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what's the, so that was the reason why I left Joan of Arc. For those of you that don't know, like I would like
hmm
walk home by myself after school while all my friends went to football practice because my parents wouldn't allow me to play football because I was playing rep hockey,
hmm
right? So I did feel slightly isolated and
Oh,
and
for
at
sure.
Joan, like being
Yeah.
the only guy not on the football team kind of
hmm
thing, and I was just like, you know what? I want to play good hockey and whatever, and I didn't make it for any other reason than that. A lot of people call me the op. For those of you that know, I'm considered the op because I went to the opposing school,
There
um,
you go.
for obviously not personal reasons or anything like that. It
Yeah.
was just more like to play some good hockey. But
Yeah.
yeah, then I had
Followed your
Kat at that
dreams.
school. Kat would have went to Joan if I stayed there.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true
So
too.
then like ended up like I know like it would have been nice if you guys went to school together, but we
Yeah.
made the switch to Gonzaga. It is what it is. Shit happens. I wanted to go now into you going to Brock.
Yeah.
So again, to fill you guys in slightly, my oldest cousin Christina is a 96, same age as Jonathan. She went to Brock University. I was the next one to follow. I went there, lived in Village with the boys, 510 forever. And we had a good time, whatever. I ended up switching schools, but the year that I switched schools, I was still living in Thorold, which is primarily a Brock housing area for students. So I was living in Thorold, and Danielle and my other cousin Julia, who are both the same age, ended up going to Brock. So when I was in Niagara, there was four of us there, all family. seeing each other like at the bar, at the club, Julia's birthday.
Yep.
I'm also gonna have Julia on the podcast as well. Popping bottles at the club, dollar beers with like my
Yeah.
sister and my cousins.
Moose and goose.
It was actually really cool, So I wanted to ask you, why did you choose Brock?
I choose Brock. Well, I mean, yeah, you were. I remember when I went for like a tour of Brock, you would live there at the time, came to
Mm-hmm.
visit Village. So that was nice. I mean, that gave a good little scope into what the campus was about. But primarily, I chose Brock because of their business co-op program. So going out of high school, I was actually interested in accounting. In grade 12, took a lot of accounting courses at Joan of Arc. But then I started off with like general business in first year, which was super cool. Got in there, and then I realized that I did not like accounting at all. Sort of went into marketing, and now that's what I'm majoring in. But I chose Brock ultimately, yeah, because of the co-op program. I really wanted that work experience with my degree, so that by the time I graduated, I have that work experience to complement my
Mm-hmm.
education. Yeah, and I just loved Brock. Like the moment I stepped on the campus, I kind of knew that's where I wanted to go. Like I went to
Feels
Laurier,
like they
like
send around here. It's like they send.
yeah, it was
I'm
full
feeling like
sends.
I'm smelling a send in this area. Like, no,
Oh yeah.
it is a good
No,
time,
but yeah, I
but no,
also knew they
even
sent it though. That
but
was
the
nice.
vibes of the campus, like you saying, like you went to
Yeah.
Laurier and stuff like that. Like Brock has a cool library concept, like the tower and
Oh yeah,
stuff like
Schmont
that.
Tower,
Yeah,
Schlong Tower.
they have that. They have a Starbucks in the library. They have all these like
Yeah.
cool little things that, even for me when I went there, it was like almost um, like a Division 1. Not to like it's exactly the same, but it's almost like you're
Yeah.
going to like Ohio State or like
Yeah.
something cool,
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
and it gives you that vibe, like, yo,
Mhm.
I'm at school, like that,
Yeah.
like, yeah, that I don't know what you want to call it,
Yeah.
like
I
frat, like I don't
Kind
know.
of, yeah. I think for me, it was like what was appealing is that it wasn't like stuck in a city. Like some universities that you'll visit, their campus is just like placed amidst like a city, and it's just like a lot of like hustle going on around it. But what I liked about Brock is that it's like isolated almost, right? It's like you
It's a
have the
campus,
campus, there's like
yeah.
nature around it, there's trails, like, they have like the UNESCO biosphere that you're in, which is pretty cool. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think almost it was appealing to me because I came from Newfoundland, being somewhere where it was like, very picturesque, like very like open, like not a lot of like city hustle going on. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what appealed to me. So it was that plus the business program. It just seemed like a fit perfect. And yeah, I don't know. I'm so happy that I went to Brock. And I mean, like you were also there too. So it kind of goes back to, how comforting it was to have you there when I was in grade 9 in high school. It
Mm-hmm.
was also comforting to know that you were there when I was in first year. And what's funny is that Julia and I, so Jules' cousin,
Are you telling
and
the St. Patrick's story?
oh no, not that one, but
Oh.
we'll go to that one next. I was just saying that Julia and I, we became like best friends, which is crazy. Is
Mm-hmm.
that like your cousin on your
Yeah,
mom's
like
side?
low key,
Like,
my sister and like
yeah,
Kat. Sorry, because you guys are both my
yeah,
sister.
yeah,
So Kat and Julia grew up as cousins, and we were all four of us are best friends. And then you kind of just got like
yeah.
tossed
Just
into the
tossed in
group.
there. Yeah, like I
That's cool.
remember we were on like like both on campus Frosh week, and we bumped into each other, and then from there we just became like best friends, which is so cool because then I also had that support system as
And
well.
you also ended up moving in with her after
Yeah,
residence,
yeah.
which
Then we
is
moved
like
in together, and yeah,
my
now
uncle
best
like
friends ever
drive you to
since.
school, your mom drive
Yeah,
Julia to school, like that.
yeah,
It was actually really cool. And now,
it's awesome.
when my cousin does come over, not because of COVID, not during COVID, but it's nice because it's like, um, I have my sister and my cousin just here at the same time, and it's chill because, like I said, we all grew
Yeah.
up as best friends. That's why Christina and Julia are coming on the podcast very
Shut up.
soon. Stay tuned for that. And yeah, I wanted to talk to you about yeah, so you touched about how marketing is your thing now.
Yeah.
So I also want to give you some praise as well for the
Oh my god.
thing that you won.
Oh yeah, the Dobson Case competition.
Yeah, so
Thank
to
you.
explain to them what that was all about.
Yeah, well, it was interesting this year because it was all virtual, but the Dobson Case competition is basically, you apply into it with it's 2 to 4 partners, and they give you a case. So this year it was on Crocs business model and how Crocs is basically gonna, capture the attention of the Gen Z
Yeah, the
sort of
shoes.
demographic, right? Yeah, to get the Gen Zs, really onto the brand and to, build more brand awareness. So that was this year's topic for the case competition. But basically, you write up a proposal to, get into the case competition. Luckily, my partner and I, Gracelyn, we got chosen as one of the top 3 people, chosen to, I think 10 people submitted a proposal. So we were one of the top 3. So we did that proposal together, just her and I. And then, yeah, we had to make a 20-minute video pitch going through, why we decided to come up with these 3 like TikTok challenges for Crocs and all that stuff. Um, yeah, we kind of just developed like a whole marketing plan throughout a whole fiscal year for Crocs. And yeah, we made a really cool, fun, like graphic video for them. And then I think there was about 4 judges on the Microsoft Teams call, and they all gave like the 3 teams feedback on our videos, what they liked about our pitch, what they recommend kind of thing. And then, yeah, we ended up winning first place. It came with prize money as well, which is super exciting. Came around Christmas time, which was also good. But yeah, so it was really
Can
cool.
I
Yeah.
say how much it was?
I think so. I think it's fine.
It's $1,000.
Yeah,
right?
it was $2,000 for the first place winner.
One for
and then
$1,000 each.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the reason why I want to bring that up is because you and Kat, and so this is something that I always envy and look up to as well, is that you guys got grants, bursaries for university, like thousands of dollars off of your tuition, and competitions, like for example Kat got a check for high school for doing a certain thing, right? So you guys
Yeah.
you guys use your smarts and your intelligence to, not to make yourselves money, because obviously at the end of the day a career makes you money based off your education, but you guys go that extra distance to get, like prizes and to win things and to to win awards. Like that's really cool. And I think I was there the day, like when you actually got it in your account, and like to see how happy you were, I was like, oh my god,
so
like
happy.
she just got $1,000 like that. Like, just obviously not like that, you did a lot of work on the proposal, the presentation, and all that stuff, but at the end of the day you are excelling in your program. So that's why I always want to throw in education in here, because you're in your 4th year. Right. So when anybody that's watching this that's either younger or that might be like, thinking about what they want to do, that might be in a general business or whatever, I want to give insight to people, and you didn't have to follow the marketing route, but you getting $1,000 shows that it's for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you won the competition because you're good at this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely.
So that's really cool to see, is that you made the right choice in what you're studying. You enjoy it. You're passionate about it, and now you're excelling, and it's showing in like fucking cash prize money. Why not? You know what I mean? Like that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, let's move on to the next topic. I wanted to, again, the second half of the first half of the podcast, serious life questions, education questions, but then with the whole Meet Team Bionic thing, like everybody knows, we're going to get to know me through my family. So the next question I have for you is, what is something that I've done that you'll never forget in your life?
God. I mean, well, there are many things, but I think one thing, we spoke about it earlier, but I'd say, when was it? It was last summer.
It was when you started working at Lifetime.
Yes.
So another thing too, Rachel, my girlfriend worked at Lifetime Athletics, which is a massive gym off of the 403 at Winston Churchill. For those of you that don't know, if you work out, you know what Lifetime is. But Rachel was working there, and then she got my sister a job, and then Danielle got a job. So my girlfriend and my 2 sisters were all working at the same place, like hanging out.
Awesome for you.
Yeah, like hanging out all the time. Whatever. It was awesome for me, to be honest. I would
like gym access.
Yeah, go in for free. Come downstairs, get a smoothie for free. Rachel's like, these are the salads that expired today. We can't sell them. Here's like 4 salads for free. I'm like, okay, bless. Like all the little hacks, like if something goes bad, it's not actually bad. It's one day bad, but they can't sell it. I got it. I was like, amazing.
The
games. Oh my God. Sauna, steam room, all those things. We lived a great life.
We did.
For that little bit of period of time.
That was a good summer.
That was great. So I think that was around that time.
Yeah, it was around that time, and that actually gets right into it, because when I got the job at Lifetime through Kat, Shadow Kat, I wasn't really, I wouldn't call myself very healthy at the time. I was, I wasn't really like, I wasn't on like a proper like diet or anything. I wasn't working out actively, but I was really excited to get the job, because then I'd have the facility to do that. So I was excited to work at Lifetime, start working out, maybe work out with like Rachel and Kat, learn from them, because they were both like really into fitness at the time, and they still are. So that was super exciting. So then I approached Jules, asking him for a meal plan and a fitness plan at the same time, because I was really hoping to, even just like get healthier. It wasn't so much about like my image entirely. It was more about like feeling good about myself as well. Like, when you're not eating well, you don't feel well. And I wanted to feel better overall. So yeah, I approached him for both of those, and I was pretty good on the meal plan at the beginning. You know, I prepped everything with Nick, Chef Nicolo. There, we prepped
Yeah,
all the meals.
yeah, he's like, let me make this stuff taste good for Danielle. So,
Yeah,
you know, yeah,
like the
because
white fish,
if you fucking
everything.
eat
Oh
the
my
food the way
god.
I eat it, it's just not
Yeah,
sustainable.
it
Yeah.
did not. Yeah. So that was good to have Nick there to make it taste, more appetizing. But yeah, so I was doing all that. I had the meals prepped. You know, I was doing the workouts with Kat at the gym. Sometimes Rachel would pop in as well. But one day I was really craving a carb. You know, you get those days where you just want a good carb, like whether it be like mashed potatoes or like a Montreal bagel,
A white bread,
Yeah,
like
you
something
want the
like that.
carb. So Jules was at his dad's house at the time, which is where I live. And I heard him go downstairs, and I was like, okay, this is a perfect time for me to go into the freezer because we freeze our bread and get the Montreal bagel, put it in the toaster, which was in the garage at the time, and just eat it real quick without, Coach Melly noticing,
Well, and
you
another
know.
part to the story is that our kitchen was getting renoed.
Yes, it was at
So
that
like the
time.
microwave, the toaster, like all the kitchen stuff was in our garage, and
Yeah.
my room is the basement. So when I'm in my room, I could hear when people go
Oh,
in and out of the garage,
yeah, that
right? Okay, so
too.
you can go continue.
Yeah, so I was stupid. I was like, hey, if he's downstairs, he won't hear me go in the garage and put the bagel in the toaster because our kitchen was basically in the garage. So, I went in there, had the butter ready and everything. I was ready to muck this bagel. Like, I was craving a carb so bad because I was eating like green beans, like sweet potato, and like white fish for like 6 days. And I just wanted like a little cheat, but I knew you'd say no. So I snuck in there and I had the bagel in the toaster and I heard footsteps. I know when they're your footsteps, like, when you just know someone's footsteps. I
Yeah,
was like, fuck, like here, he's coming. And then you open the door and you're like, what's that? And I was like, what? I'm like, it's fine. And you're like, that's not a rice cake. And I was like,
yeah.
fuck. And then, yeah, and then the bagel popped and I wasn't allowed to eat it. And
No, you had it was made, and
oh,
this is
yeah,
why the
it was it
story's
made? Was it
funny.
made at that
It
point?
was made and it was in a paper towel in her hand,
No,
and she
you're
was
right. It
about to like
was.
walk out, and she had this face like, "Oh my god!" And I caught her in the act, and when I asked about the rice cake, I snagged it out of her hand, and I
Yeah.
just ate the
And
bagel.
he ate it in front of me. Like the savage he is, but it's fine. It kept me on it though. It kept me on the plan.
Because realistically, to
Yeah.
put in perspective for you guys, I am so macro oriented. You guys have no idea. When I eat things, like the numbers are like clicking in my head. So a bagel is like 30 to 40 to 50 grams of carbs for one bagel, depending on the brand and whatever. A rice cake is 7 grams of carbs. You can eat like 5 to 6 rice cakes and you'll be so full after the third one. You won't want
Yeah.
another one. But the bagel is like, you eat a bagel and then can eat another one, and that's
Oh,
like
easy.
60 grams of carbs
Yeah.
versus like 21, you know?
Yeah.
So it makes such a big difference, especially because it was at night, and that's why I did it.
Yeah, it's true.
Because
That's
carbs,
when I get
if
hungry
you were
too.
if you were maybe midday and you're like, I'm gonna do a massive leg workout and whatever, I'd be
Nope.
like, you know what, maybe eat the bagel. Probably I would say still no. But because it was at night, I was like, no, and I wasn't dieting, so I just fucking smashed
No,
this bagel
yeah. I ate it right in front of me.
right in front of you. I know that was kind of a
Fucking savage.
slight dick move, but
It kept me on track though. It did. And to this day, I've lost over 10 pounds, guys. So we're getting there. I mean, I'm not on a meal plan now. I kind of eat in moderation, but I
no,
work out like often.
but I think
So
like
got me in the mindset.
this will transition to the last question of the pod, but
Yeah.
what I think is that when I started competing and kind of showing that sacrifice where I'm like, I'm not gonna eat, that treat or that family dinner, and you guys all saw me miss out on so many things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Homemade
homemade
pasta.
pasta, so much.
So many. That's like the
And
one
the
thing
thing
I
is like
remember.
at my mom's and my grandmother's house, it's like all this feel good homemade food that I'm missing out on, bread and all these things. And then at my dad's house, it's like this gourmet, international cuisine that like I'm missing out on, and I'm about to do it again. But obviously in a different way. I have a
Yeah.
couple different tricks up my sleeve. The air fryer,
Ooh.
the air
Air
fryer,
fryer. That's
low
the
key, that's
way.
gonna help me. But I think my family seeing that really changed everybody's habits.
Mm-hmm.
My
Oh,
dad, my
100%.
dad was like for a couple of years not going to the gym. All of a sudden, he is at LA Fitness doing full body workouts, working out all
Yeah.
the time. Danielle and Kat both went through their journeys after first year.
Oh my
And
God,
instead
yeah.
of like letting things get progressively worse throughout their 4 years of university, they're now looking towards the end of their university careers,
Mm-hmm.
in good shape, in a routine. You exercise like multiple times a week. Cap
Mm-hmm.
exercises multiple times a week. Nick, Louise, everybody lives a healthy lifestyle, and we eat very well in
We
terms of
do.
like clean meals, right? Like we only eat like on the weekends. Nick will make something indulging with butter
Yeah.
or
Which
whatever,
is
you
good.
know.
Like everything in
Yeah,
moderation, you know?
exactly. And that's something that I think that I've created also for myself, and with coaching people, is it has to be all about balance. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And if you're
Definitely.
too strict, then that causes relapse. If you're too
Mm-hmm.
lenient, that causes relapse as well. So you
Yeah.
have to find that healthy medium where you can enjoy a bagel during the week if you're gonna
Definitely.
exercise and whatever. I was probably
Yeah.
a bit of a dick back then, but
No, but I think I needed that at the time. I think it was like almost too lenient where like I needed that discipline to get me where I am today. Although at the time I was sad, I'm happy
she probably
now.
went to her bed. Oh, what was the other joke we used to make? This one was really
Oh,
funny.
eat your sleep?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that one will stick with me. I always say that now. Sometimes you just gotta eat your sleep, guys, okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just
Sometimes
gotta.
if you know that you've had a full day's worth of food, you're over 2,000 calories, you've eaten well all night, and it's like 10:30 or that time that in between you going to bed and dinner, and it's like, sometimes you need to just be like, it's okay to like drink some water and go to bed. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And
Definitely.
and, and another thing too is you also get more sleep when you're health conscious like that, because
There you
you're
go.
going to bed earlier because you don't want to snack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and if the difference between you not snacking is going to bed at 10:30 instead of staying up until midnight watching TV, because
Yeah.
from 10:30 to 12 you'll probably want to snack if you're watching shows
Oh,
and movies and stuff.
100%.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that was the joke back in the day, was eat your sleep,
Eat
and
your
then come
sleep.
come mid-February, I'm about to eat my sleep a whole lot
There
when
you
I'm
go.
prepping for my bodybuilding, right? So
Oh my God,
that's a really
yeah.
good fresh reminder for me. Sometimes it's okay to eat your sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes,
Chew on your pillow. It's probably
Yeah,
tasty.
it's good. Protein, it's there.
Anyways, so the last question I wanted to ask, which is a question that everybody's gonna get,
Hmm.
what is your favorite part about Team Bionic?
Oh, I mean, well, favorite part. I have a lot of favorites, but I would say that my favorite part, I mean, this is more on you, but is how personable you are, like on your social media accounts, with fitness. I mean, like for me, like, I'll look at different fitness videos, like through like my explore page on Instagram, and a lot of them, like, you can see that like the people aren't being transparent or they're not personable. But I feel like with you, you're very genuine and you're very open, with your clients or anyone who's gonna, come onto like the Instagram page for Bionic, right? So like yeah, I think my favorite part is how open and honest and genuine that you are with everyone that's a part of the team. And yeah, that we can all just be there and we're all like working together, It doesn't feel like I don't know, it feels like we're all on the same level,
Mm-hmm.
and like I like how educative you are as well. I mean, like I've learned a lot from you. Even just going over the
Thank
macro
you.
count there, like I've already, that was kind of a refresh. So yeah, I think my favorite part for myself is like learning a lot from you. Even if I'm not with you, if you're at your mom's house, I'm at your dad's. It's like on the Instagram account, like I'll see a video of a circuit, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try that. So I know that was kind of a lot there, but yeah, favorite part is
No,
how
that's
personable and genuine you are with fitness, because I know it can be a big journey for a lot of people, everyone almost, right? Like it was a big journey for me. And I think, yeah, I'm still on my journey, and you being personable and genuine has just made it a lot easier. So,
I appreciate
yeah,
that,
of
because
course.
no,
Yeah.
honestly, I really appreciate that, because in the fitness industry, like there is like, it's sad to say, but there's a lot of like superficial people that
Oh,
are like all
100%.
about
Yeah.
the way that they look and
Mm-hmm.
them and whatever. And I saw that, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to be just the next guy like flashing my abs on
Yeah.
Instagram and being
Exactly.
that person, which is why I went to school for it, which is why I like took it
Mm-hmm.
seriously and wanted to make it professional, because I think that the fitness industry slightly lacks that personable figure. Like,
Yeah, and I noticed that as
you know
well.
what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
people are just like, it's all about what they're doing, and hey, look at what I'm doing. Hey, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Yeah.
But realistically, if you're in the fitness industry, it should be to help people. Like there's
100%.
some guys that are out there that just want a sponsorship and just want this and that, whatever. And when I was a young kid, that's what I thought I wanted.
Yeah.
But as I grew up and I grew older and I finished school, and I realized like it's more about, and that's why on Bionic, if you scroll back, it used to be videos of me demonstrating things,
Mm-hmm.
but then I changed it at a certain point a couple years ago to be like, this should only be about the people. You
I
know what I
love that.
mean?
Yeah.
You know, like it's not about
Mm-hmm.
me. It's about bettering other people. It's about their progress. It's about what they're accomplishing behind the scenes
Mm-hmm.
as they're working hard. So I'm like, you know what? Like you gotta tuck your ego aside sometimes, you know, and like
Definitely.
to do what I do to be a bodybuilder takes slight ego, but I don't want to be that as a human being. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like I want to
Yeah.
be an approachable personal trainer that when people see like, oh, I want to start a fitness journey, right? If
Yeah.
you were like, oh my God, Jules is gonna just be an asshole to me and he's not gonna fucking help
Yeah.
me at all, like why would you sign up with Team Bionic? You know
No,
what I mean? But
exactly.
for you to be like, you know what Jules did help me or whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what drives Team Bionic
Yeah.
is hearing
Definitely.
things like that. So I really appreciate
Yeah,
that. And
definitely.
I now that I think about it, it's like I'm asking people what their favorite part about Team Bionics. It's not to pump my own tires or whatever,
Yeah.
but like you just said, it was like a refresher. That's a refreshment to me to know that to the general public, it looks like I am trying to help people because that's really all it is. Like,
No, and it does. And I think seeing, you know, other people that you've helped, like making it more about like, you know, your clients and the people, it's motivating to others as well, you know? Like even though like, you know, I see you like all the time, like even just scrolling through Instagram, like, you know, seeing other people's like transformation or seeing like how they're doing, how their clients are doing and stuff like that, it motivates me as well. I'm like, you know what, that's possible. That was possible through you, you know? So I think that's
yeah,
pretty cool.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really what it's all about is motivating others, making sure that
Mm-hmm.
other people and that's just something that I'll just touch on quickly, but there's a big difference and I learned this in school. I learned a lot of things at Niagara. I love college. Like that was the best thing that ever happened to
Yeah.
me was going from kin to just a phys ed. It's not phys ed, it's fitness and health promotion.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the biggest thing that stood out to me was the difference between self-esteem and self-efficacy. So your self-esteem is what you perceive yourself to be and your confidence that shines through that. And
Mm-hmm.
then your self-efficacy is your ability to believe that you can accomplish something,
Yeah.
right? So if you believe in your heart like I can do this, you know what I mean?
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Versus like it's not about self-esteem. It's not about the way you look. It's not about the scale number. It's not about any of that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's about can I do this?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it might come with like a number of pounds lost, or it might come with like a certain weightlifting, like I want to squat this amount or
Yeah.
whatever. It could be like a number, but at the end of the day, it's more about like your belief system in yourself to do
Mm-hmm.
that. And
And
you believed in yourself.
yeah,
You were
that.
at the gym. I would go up and upstairs at Lifetime, and I would find her on the bike doing her bike
Oh
sprints
my God.
and
Yeah.
doing all these things that it takes. You know what I mean? And nobody asked you,
Sweating
right?
so much.
Did anybody ask you to say, "Hey, Danny, you should like go on this fitness journey"? Or, no, no, no,
No.
whatever. It came out of you.
It did, yeah, and I think that's such a good way to put it too. It's like I don't work out to lose weight or to like look a certain way. I think a lot of it, I've explained this to your dad before too. Like I just want to be strong, you know. Like I don't know. I just love like yeah, you know, like
Independent ass woman,
getting
girl.
it, you
Yeah,
know. Like I
girl.
love being strong, like feeling the muscle. Like I don't know. It's just like it's so cool. It's like I don't know if you know I'm like
You know,
21 years old. It's like why don't I get jacked?
you
You
know what
know?
it is too, though. There's something about like putting in the work and then
Mm-hmm.
seeing the results. You know,
Yeah, that. Oh, yeah.
sometimes
So
at work in a
satisfying.
corporate world or wherever you are that you're working, a retail, corporate, whatever, you'll do a bunch of stuff and your boss might not even give you the recognition.
Yep.
You might
Mm-hmm.
just be totally ignored. But in fitness, if you do bicep curls, your biceps are going to grow.
Yeah,
If you
man.
do bicep curls and you eat protein, your biceps are going to grow even more,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like it's almost instant. Obviously, it's not instant. You're not going to
Mm-hmm.
achieve your goals instantly, but the results happen because it's just the way that exercising works. If you do cardio, you'll lose weight. If
It's
you lift
true.
weights, you'll gain muscle. You know, and it's cool because what me experiencing that at a very young age at like 13, 14 years old when I first started working out, I knew that I love that more than hockey.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's that like,
Wow.
and it was like I played hockey for so many more years as I was actually like bodybuilding, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize that like this. I wanted to just share that with people. I wanted to be like, yo, if you do this, you can achieve anything you want. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then another cool thing I believe, and we'll end it on this note, is that you can take that anywhere with you in life. You know, and
Anywhere, yeah.
right, like I hope that that's what people are learning through Team Bionic and through the podcast, through you sharing your story about finding fitness, is that if you can conquer your mind and your body and your nutrition and what you put into your body, it will reflect on the rest of your life, because when you face things in the workplace or in general life, you'll be like, you know what, I can do this. You know, it has increased your self-efficacy.
Oh, 100%. I
Right?
love the way you put that. That's so good.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and that's really what Team Bionic is all about. And I've never had a goddamn platform to say nothing.
And now you do.
And now this is
Look
what
at
this is all about,
Yeah,
you know?
this is awesome.
So,
proud.
and I think that having my family, I'll say it again, is the most important thing. You guys have molded me, especially my siblings, like all of you. I'd love to have Johnny on
Yeah.
when the lockdown's over and everything.
Definitely.
But, you know, what we grew up and what we experienced as kids has shaped us day by day to kind of where we
Yeah.
are today, you know?
Oh
So,
my God. Yeah, totally. Especially with Nick. Oh yeah.
yeah, exactly. Especially growing up with a
Definitely.
parent like Nick. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on the
Oh, of
podcast.
course.
This is a great
fun.
episode. Let's reveal. Let's do a handshake first. Thank you so much, and we're gonna
welcome.
reveal to you guys what's in the mystery mugs. It tastes so good. I love this.
It's so good.
Okay.
I get to show too.
Yeah.
There it is.
Little Cotty Springs, guys. We're gonna do a last toast. Thank you so much, Danny, for coming on. We'll do a
thank you for
quick
having
chug.
me.
No problem.
Chug. I'm just gonna eat 2 chugs.
Yeah, you know we go to Brock.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. For anybody still tuning in right now, we love you guys. Any of the listeners on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any viewers on YouTube, thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast. You have no idea what it means to me, especially the fact that everybody's showing an interest in my family. You know, like it's not like I'm having these famous people that I know or whatever on the podcast. Like,
Yeah.
it's genuinely people wanting to know what Team Bionic is all about. And I really hope that this episode, just like all the other ones, has helped you guys learn a bit more about Team Bionic.
Oh
So-
yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much again, everybody, for listening. Danny, thanks for coming on.
Aw, thanks for having me.
And
This is fun.
We'll catch you guys later on the next episode.
Peace
Peace.
out, dudes.